Hi guys, this is E. Welcome back to a video on this channel. That's crazy. It's been a while. So yeah, since it's been a while, obviously, I figured I'd give you guys a little bit of a yapping video, a little bit of an sort of an update video. I think I already gave a lot of personal updates in the video on the gaming channel, so I'm not gonna go too deep into all that kind of stuff. But obviously I asked you guys for some questions and I'm very excited to answer them. First off, this video might be recorded in a few different moments because I have a few hectic days coming up. So if you hear some weird cuts or stuff like that, please don't please don't judge me for it. But I did receive a lot of questions. Thank you guys so much, both on my Tumblr and on the YouTube comments. So I am excited to get into it. For now, the reason also why I'm doing this in multiple parts is because somehow I can't see a lot of the comments on the Q&A post on my community tab. I think it's a weird YouTube glitch, which I'm hoping is going to be corrected in the next few days. So I'm hoping that I'm going to see those questions again so I can answer them. But in the meantime, I'm just going to go ahead and plow through with what I've got so far. So once again, thank you guys for sending in questions. I'm excited to get back into it. The other big disclaimer I want to give is that it has been a long time since I've recorded the majority of these things. And some of these questions I genuinely have or had no answer to because I was like, what the hell are you guys talking about? I had to go back, and obviously I also have the wiki open. So that's a good tool for me that I'm going to do some looking up on. I have it open here. You're going to be able to see it because I'm going to scroll through it and stuff every now and then or look stuff up. Just because I don't even remember half of the things that I said and did. So it's going to be a bit of a trip down memory lane. I don't have everything nice and cleared out right now. I didn't prep a lot of this stuff. So it's mainly going to be a yapping video where I'm just, doing a lot of random talking and trying to get to the bottom of even questions that I sometimes don't know the answer to. But let's start with a couple of ones. I didn't write down names and stuff. I'm sorry. I did see a lot of the names. I just copy pasted the questions into a Word document because there was a lot of them. But let's start. So the first one is, how do you deal with anxiety and stress? What makes you feel better? So I am someone who overthinks a lot, which is not a unique character trait. I get a lot of anxiety from my brain always trying to be ahead of a lot of things. And my brain moves very fast. And so a lot of things can happen in a very short time. And it's sometimes very exhausting for me. What makes me feel better is that I need to keep my brain occupied a lot. So sometimes when I'm dealing with stress or stressful situations, or my brain is just too loud, I kind of look for overstimulation instead of understimulation for me, which works better. In the sense that I have a dual monitor set up. I will play a game on my main screen and then put a video in the background, or ASMR, or a video essay, sometimes both at the same time, just to have enough stimulation where my brain kind of doesn't have the space to be loud about anything else. And I've found that is a method that works for me. The games that in that situation usually help me are games like Balatcho, games like Slay the Spire, games like Clover Pit, these games where you don't have to pay a lot of attention, or deck builder, stuff like that, where it's not your brain needs to be on 100%. That's something that works for me. I have my earbuds in a lot when I go outside. I listen to music a lot when I'm outside, which also helps with the noise. Um, yeah, that's what helps me. I think a different thing that also helps me a lot is that I try not to, and I know this is a very easy thing to say, right? But I try genuinely not to worry too much about what people think of me, or I try to have a mindset where I have a positive view on things. Like if I see someone looking at me or something, I try to be like, oh, maybe they just like what I'm wearing, or maybe they like, my glass, stuff like that. Um, Instead of immediately giving my brain the power to be like, oh, they hate you, they think you're ugly, they think, all that stuff. Um, I think I try to be ahead of my brain for a lot of things. I try to treat my brain kind of like it's a toddler on a leash, where I'm like, all right, yes, sure, you can throw a tantrum, but, at the end of the day, that's not going to be it. Um, it's something that I've tried to practice throughout the years. Um, and kind of leaning into that, or segueing rather, as someone closer to 30, do you think your early 20s were more about surviving or succeeding? I think a lot of us at 22 feel pressure to already have everything figured out, especially financially. See, I don't know if this might be like a cultural thing or something, but I don't feel it in my surroundings or in my culture that people expect people of 22 to have everything figured out at all. Um, I understand that it comes across that way. I understand that it feels that way. I think probably I felt that way too. I mean, I know I felt that way, but it's simply not the truth. I think everyone sees a 22-year-old as a pretty much a child still. I mean, you graduate at 22, so that's only the first start of your, financial, because you said, especially financially, I don't think anyone expects a teenager or a student in college to make enough money to be financially stable. Again, this is me from my experience growing up in a European country. I obviously know that the culture in, for example, the United States is very different. And that, there's a lot of necessity in order to have jobs and stuff in order to be financially independent. So I'm definitely not discouraging that, but that's not something I can speak on because I've never been in the thick of that, hustle, I guess. I've never been in that situation. But from the perspective of someone who's close to 30, which is what you asked, if I see someone who's 22 years old, I don't expect them to be anything. I expect them to be trying to figure out what they want. There's not a whole lot of 22-year-olds that I know of that have their life figured out or that know what they want to do 100%. And I mean, I have a lot of friends who studied something, graduated with a degree in it, and then now they're 27, 28 and doing something completely different with their life. So I guess what I would say is there's still time. There's always time. There's people who are 80 years old that go back to college to do something. You have time. Now the first half of that question, which I kind of jumped over, was that were my early 20s more about surviving or succeeding. For me, it was it's an interesting question for me personally because I had such a good idea of what I wanted to do all my life, and I'm still doing it. So it's hard for me to kind of speak on the indecisiveness of it. I've had the advantage that I knew from a very young age that I wanted to be a writer, and I'm still hustling to try and do it. So, but I graduated when I was 20, I quit my master's degree, actually. I in my early 20s were chaos because I graduated when I was 20 years old, and I wanted to have a job and I couldn't find it and stuff. So I was struggling and I was doing other work and stuff. But I wouldn't call that surviving. I wouldn't really call that succeeding either. I think mine was somewhere in between. But now, obviously, with the, what do you call that? The advantage of hindsight, kind of. I would say, you're fine. Sit down, breathe. It's not that serious. But again, I'm speaking on my experiences and the experiences of people around me, which is not universal. I do recognize that. Are you okay with art/fan art of you or your characters? If you've gotten any, were you okay with the designs being different than you imagined? Yes, I'm very much fine with it. I love seeing fan art. I remember back when the Discord was like very active. We had like a fan art channel in it, and there was a lot of like fan art being shared, and I mean, some of it I still have like on my computer. I still look at every now and then. I love it. I love that the characters inspire people to draw and make doodles and make like comic strips and all that stuff. And it is very interesting to me to see how people see those characters, because I've spoken about this before. I have complete face blindness when it comes to characters. I don't see features when I think about these characters. And this is true for every one of like the different shows, the different spheres, the different, the westbound layer of it all. I don't see characters. I see their like vague outlines, or I see like a lab coat or a detective outfit, or maybe even like a hairstyle sometimes. But that's really about it. So I think it's always interesting to see people like do their attempt, or like not their attempt, but like their vision of a character, because it's I'm always like yeah, very very possible. Obviously. As for me, I've had people make fan art of me. Obviously I don't have a face reveal. I think people have seen what have people seen? I don't think people have seen anything. I think I showed my hands maybe at some point. I think that's what people have to go on. But I mean, yeah, I'm just a very average looking white person. That's basically all. So when people draw me, they usually draw a very flattering version of me, which is very appreciated, but not not really close to the truth, I guess, because obviously you guys don't know. But yeah, I mean, I love fan art, and you're never going to hear me say that I'm against fan art. I want people to express themselves, and this is also true for fan fiction and stuff. Please express yourself in any which way. And if my characters or my universes are a trigger for you to like start exploring creativity, or utilize your creativity and channel it into something and creating something, that's the biggest compliment I could ask for. So I'm 100% okay with fan art. 110% maybe, even, if we're being mathematically incorrect. Have you ever... Okay, so hang on. Hang on. I didn't sort the question, so I'm kind of going through this very chaotically. I was thinking of maybe doing like some like non-specific questions first, but I'm kind of... My brain is kind of all over the place. Okay. Have you ever thought about putting your series characters in the same universes? Maybe something like Olympus helping with investigations from the actress series, or even people from the actress series meeting people in the singing one. I think, and again, this is one of those things where I'm like, I'm going to say something and I need people to back me up in the comments, because I think, but my brain is not always reliable. I'm pretty sure at some point in the Singer series, there is a nod to them watching Westbound. I don't think I go any further than that, but I think there's a moment where Foster and Blue or Taiki, are there is like a mention of we're gonna watch like that TV show you like, and I don't know how far into detail I go, but I do remember a lot of people understanding that I was nodding towards Westbound. So canonically, that means that they take place in the same universe. So canonically, that does also mean that yes, it is very possible that like Foster DeVries and Foster Drake live in the same universe and may even meet along with all the other characters. Okay, but I'm trying to think if there would like what the interesting concept of that would be, if it's like an interesting fanfic or something to write. Okay, so the setting of the bar, I'm trying to start from Duck. I'm gonna try to. Well, yes, I'm trying to start from Duckies. I'm trying to start from the Singer series to see if I can. I mean, I guess there could be like Foster DeVries wants like a getaway and flees LA for a bit to kind of reinvent herself or something, and then stumbles into Duckies and kind of gets recognized by Dawson, who's like a huge Westbound fan, and is like, oh my god, I can't believe you're here. And then she's like, shh, I gotta keep a low profile. That's my voice. why am I making myself sound like that? That's crazy. But yeah, that, or obviously when Foster Drake becomes big, she can kind of go to LA to kind of be in the music scene or kind of meet up with producers and stuff, and which I think is where didn't the Singer series stop there, where she was going to go like out and meet with I don't remember. I don't think the wiki for the Singer series is up to date? Question mark. This could 100% be me. Year. Okay, I know. It ends on 47. I don't know what the last one is. I don't remember. But I do know that it ended with like them leaving because she was angry at her sister and her brother for going behind her back to kind of investigate what happened. So yeah, I think it'd be interesting. I think it'd be fun to see like the cross contamination. Yes, let's put it that way. The cross contamination of putting these the characters into their own universes. That'd be really fun. Okay, I always thought it was so interesting when Taiki was actually just a character for the listener to roll themselves into and slowly turn into a character of your own. So I wondered, would you or thought of doing the same thing for the listener in the actress series? Sorry. So I think that kind of happened along the way, because I wanted to start out doing a very, very, very neutral listener, because I wanted I wanted them to be the neutralist I could, because then the more people could find themselves in the story. And that went well for a long time until I kind of started realizing that it's kind of an interesting thing. A lot of people, and I'm talking specifically about the actress series and Foster DeVries right now, but I thought it was really interesting that a lot of people kept saying that Foster is like a very bad person, or like is not a good person, is someone who's like very selfish and stuff like that. And I think it's always interesting when people say that. I don't disagree, because I mean, I don't have an opinion on it either which way. But it's interesting to me if you don't have anything to play off of, everything is about you. Like if I'm having a conversation with someone and they're giving me nothing back, or they're not giving me anything, I'm going to have to talk about myself, and I'm going to have to talk about what I think, what I feel, and stuff like that. And I started noticing that the more that the listener character was just a blank slate, the worse the selfishness kind of got, because everything was kind of built around Foster and the character development that Foster was going through. And the listener was just a very passive subject in there. And then the second that I kind of started tweaking that, and that the listener actually became more and more of a character, obviously I started narrowing it down. And I started, a lot of people kind of fell out of the scope of relatability for it. And I think because it got to a point where it's already established enough, it wasn't that jarring of a thing. But I do think it kind of knocked people off at some point, that I started giving that character more and more agency. Because when you're listening and you're self-inserting, all of a sudden the listener character does something where you're like, I wouldn't fucking do that. And that's kind of, that sucks. That's kind of like, that makes it completely, it jars you out of the experience in a way. So that balance was very odd to me. And it was a very intriguing thing to kind of play with. All the way up until, the final 5 episodes of the 3rd season, which I got a lot of questions about, and I'm willing to answer them. But I think that whole thing proved that point a lot, which is that as soon as you have evolution in a listener character, there's always going to be conflict that comes with it. And for the Singer series, when it then got to Taiki, I initially was like, I needed to keep them neutral. And I kind of made the same thing where I started out keeping them pretty neutral with like Blue. I wanted to give them a better nickname than no nickname at all in the Foster series. In the Singer series, and in the Actress series, I meant. But then Blue kind of became, okay, but Blue needs a sister. And then if she needs a sister, then obviously she needs a name. And if she needs a backstory, which is interesting. My computer fan is very loud. I'm sorry. It's hot out. If she needs a sister, then she needs a name. And if she needs a name, then she can have more backstory. And so instead of the classic listener character, Taiki really became a character in and of her own. And I think the reason why I did that is because I've talked about this before, and it's going to answer a lot of the questions that I received about the last 5 episodes of the Actress series. But I struggled with that parasocial aspect. I still do. And I think that the final 5, the whole like divorce storyline and the new listener switcheroo thing that I did, I talked about it on the Discord a long time before I actually did it, because I was just like, as a person, you are listening to this story and it's not real. It's just one person, talking to you in a microphone, and not even talking to you, but I'm talking to like my wall, and I'm editing it and I'm putting it online. Objectively, or like, me being an asshole about it, I'm just like, I'm creating a story. I'm sitting you down in front of a movie screen, and when the movie's done, you get up and you walk out. And there were some people that just couldn't do that. There were some people that just kept on sitting down and demanding and not being able to see that I'm just a content creator, that I'm just a writer, that I'm just someone who likes making stories. And that whole storyline, that whole divorce part, was actually me just really being like, I wanted to kind of I'm trying to find the right words, because I don't want to, it's not supposed to be mean. Like, I don't mean it in a negative way, but I was just like, I wanted to show that me talking to a microphone and me talking to that girlfriend partner, boyfriend character, the listener character, was the exact same thing. Whether it was that new listener or the old listener, it was still me doing the exact same thing. And then finally, when I did the reveal, a lot of people were kind of mind fucked. And most people were like, okay, fair play. And there were some people that really, really, really didn't like it. And I was like, well, first of all, you're in your right not to like it. I obviously had 195 episodes of these two characters going through hell together and a lot of ups and downs. And then to kind of suddenly take that away is obviously very jarring. So I do understand if you're invested in it and if you're someone who feels very intensely that that's kind of jarring. But at the same time, I was just like, don't get so attached in that sense. So that's kind of why I made that decision to kind of do that. And that's also probably why in the Singer series, when I started, I immediately wanted to kind of build a sort of character for the listener so people, I guess, couldn't self-insert too much or something. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think that's kind of where my head was at. But I'm happy with the way I did it. Because I do feel that it was the right ending also, canonically. Like, I don't think these characters, you can say in a fantasy world, which you can make the argument that this completely is a fantasy world, and I don't have anything, to say to that. But in this fantasy world, it is like, it can be the fairy tale ending of, despite everything, we persevered and we live happily ever after and we ride off into the sunset. But in the real world, there's a very real thing that it's just simply too much trauma. I think, and that's pretty much what I explained. I had it, I had it open here and I got rid of it again. Hold on. I was reading the recap of the last episode because I don't remember, and it's kind of hard for me to listen back to my own stuff, so I don't like doing it. But it's like, where was it? It's somewhere here. Still friends with her ex, and they still talk. Ultimately, they still care for each other, and Foster doesn't want them out of her life just because they're not a couple anymore. She reiterates that listener is the only one for her, so the new listener. Foster talks about her marriage, which crumbled after a few weeks because it wasn't the solution. Jesus, all these pop-ups are losing my mind. The solution she and her former spouse were looking for, that she thought it would be. They mutually and amicably agreed that separation was the best thing for them to both be able to heal and move on. And she had some lingering doubts about this choice until listener arrived in their life. And I completely agree with that. I think that was the right thing to do. They're still friends. They still are in each other's lives, because obviously if you go through something like that with a person, you don't take that for granted. But at the same time, them being in each other's orbit constantly would be very unhealthy. And I think they just need a distance. And I'm pretty sure, and again, now I'm going to say something that people might disagree. I'm saying that people might correct me on this. I think the testimony audios, which were a package, but also, and I think they're on the page. I'm pretty sure they're on the Patreon because all the packages are on Patreon. It was basically the thing of that Foster had to, it was Lena's trial, and Foster had to, I'm blanking on the word in English. It's very sad. Foster had to go be a witness, testify, Jesus Christ, testify at the courthouse during the trial. And it was basically that she sees listener for the first time in a long time. And it's kind of a bit awkward, but it's also kind of nice. I'm pretty sure that was a package, or it was a loose audio that I did on Patreon. But there were some reunion audios, I'll say, and I don't think that it would have. I don't think I would have liked making episodes about the divorce and stuff, because it would have been drama, it would have been messy, and it would have been like the kind of thing that would totally have drawn people off, which is why I liked doing kind of the switcheroo. That was a very, very long-winded answer. I'm good at answering long-windedly. I apologize. Okay. Are there any other genres in voice acting, writing, games, etc. that you're interested in? I'm interested in doing a lot of voice acting. I've said this before. I have friends who are professional voice actors, and I'm so jealous of them in the best way possible. I simply don't think there's like a thing for, like, because out here there's only two things to do. It's either dubbing, animation, and stuff for the majority of things that get dubbed here are like kid shows and stuff, which you kind of need like a specific voice for that I don't have. I think I could have, but in order for that, I think I need to be more famous, because all of the big movies and stuff, they get dubbed by like celebrities and stuff, and not professional voice actors. And the other half is like commercials and stuff, which technically I could do, but I don't know how to get into that. And yeah, I mean, other, writing games and stuff that I'm interested in. Yes, I'm interested in writing a lot. I've written, ideas. I have ideas for like, stage, theater, show, musical, video games, poetry books, I have everything under the sun that you can think of, like, conceptually. I have interest in, and I would hope people would contact me for, and or I could pitch at some point. But yeah. Would you collab with other voice actors if you were to get back into voice acting? If yes, what kind of work / series / video, whatever, would it be? If no, how come? That's also good. Yeah, I did a collab with Escaped Audios, like, I don't remember when that was or when that came out, actually. It was like a vampire, it's called Not in Front of Dinner, Darling, and I have like a couple of lines in there. That was fun to do. I think he contacted me for it. He was very nice about it. I liked doing it, but it's awkward for me because I'm so not used to a script. I hope he liked the job that I did. But yeah, I mean, I would love to do collabs and stuff. It would kind of depend on the context, I guess. I don't think I would go into like, how should I put that? Like, having like collabs of like one-offs of like, your girlfriend's comfort. Like, I don't think I would do that kind of stuff. I think if it would have a good story, I would be interested in it. So yeah, if you guys have like creators that do like good story-based stuff, tell them to collab with me. Let them know. Would you accept other writers' scripts, or do you prefer doing your scripts yourself? So that's a seamless segue, because yeah, I don't have a script. I've talked about this before, but I think the only way that I could keep producing, especially in the actress series heyday, at the rate that I was uploading and at the rate that I basically did, wasn't it? It was 1 full year, wasn't it? I think I uploaded the last video of this, the actress series, exactly 1 year after I started it. So that's 200 episodes in 1 year. And the only reason, or the only way that I could keep that sustainable at all, was just to improv every single thing. The only thing that I've ever written or did like a script for was the episode numbers. It was the episode where with Alex in it, where I think it was oh my God, I think it was after season 2. It was, oh my God, it was Foster seeing her own like body after what Theo did, I think. And Alex being there and being like, whoa, get over it, bitch. And I had to write a script for that because I had to do both of the voices and I couldn't improv that. I think that's the only one I had a script for. Everything else, I just literally walked into my recording room, pressed record, and just started. And I liked it. I liked the creativity of it. I liked the impulsivity of it. I am a very impulsive person. Yeah. Any advice for starting ASMR VAs? Yes. I should have thought that through before I picked that question. I mean, I do have advice. I think it's easy to get discouraged by numbers a lot. It's easy to get discouraged by, not having a lot of feedback, or especially, at the start, kind of having to build that audience and kind of having to build that trust and that loyalty with the community. And also, brutally honestly, there's going to be weird people. There's going to be people that creep you out. There's going to be people that go way too hard on parasocial, especially if you're into that kind of, I mean, obviously, you need to know if you're standing underneath an apple tree, you're going to get hit in the head with an apple. So if you're going to be playing a girlfriend to people, people are going to treat you like they can share everything with you because you're their girlfriend. In that way, it kind of makes sense. But you need to be prepared for that. And that is very much a reality. And you need to be strong enough for that. Okay, a question. Okay, I remember this one. This one was really funny. I saw this one when I was laying in bed last night, and I was like, what the fuck? I have no memory of that. Question. During episode 7, when talking about lasagna, Foster says, I don't care that we have bread in the house, we can still go get lasagna. What does this mean? Were they just going to eat loaves of bread? What is the correlation? Does Foster make lasagna with bread? Brilliant question that completely made me question my own sanity for a second. But I think, and I didn't listen back to the episode or anything, but I think this is a trend. Okay, I need to provide some context for that. So I'm Belgian, right? And Belgian culture, especially when it comes to food, there's really high highs and there's really low lows. But the main thing about Belgian culture is that we eat bread twice a day. So in the morning, a typical Belgian person, and I'm not talking about me, but I'm talking about a typical Belgian person. In the morning, you eat sliced bread with like a slice of cheese in between, or like some ham, or a bit of Nutella in between, stuff like that. So literally just 2 slices of bread, some Nutella, smack them together, eat it. That's breakfast. At lunch, we usually eat like bread with, like salami or more cheese or more Nutella, whatever you want. 2 times a day, we eat that. And then 1 time a day, we eat like a hot meal. And so the thing is that a lot of times when you're, out or you're doing shopping or whatever, or you talk to someone, they go, oh, are we going to get something, for food? And we go, oh, no, we have bread at home. As in, we have bread and we're going to eat sliced bread, which is a very normal thing. But as I read this question, I was like, did I completely like mistranslate that in my head? Because it's such a Flemish, a Dutch thing to say. And I probably translated that so literally to be like, oh, we have bread at the house. And people were probably like, what the fuck? Are you a duck? Like, what are you talking about? So I would like to apologize for that. I guess Foster just really likes eating bread. Could not be me. I don't like it. I hate this stuff. But yeah, that question made me laugh. Because I heard myself say it for a second, but I was like, why would I possibly bring that to that show? What was your least/favorite episodes of the Actress series? I think I've talked about this like ad nauseum. My favorite episode is the pool episode 198. I think my favorite episodes in general were like the special ones. Like I liked the one where um with Theo being at the door. I liked the one where the one with Alex in it. I liked the one, oh gosh. There's other ones. There's other special ones, but like those ones. I liked the more thematic or like serial ones. And I guess my least, I don't have a least favorite one. There's not like all those episodes blur together so much I couldn't tell you a single one from another. But I think my least favorite ones were probably just like I was gonna say the first like five or something, just because I had no idea what I was doing. It was such a it was such a different way. It was literally just me being me, but in a fictional form. I was speaking French for some fucking reason that's completely like unrelated to anything. I was doing accents. What the? Ugh, I cringe. I cringe. I don't like that. I don't like that. I'm glad I put like a screen of Foster behind it, but I didn't like that at all. No. I don't like. I don't like. Bleh. Okay, so that. Sorry, I bumped into my mic out of my own disgust. Yeah, no, I didn't like that. I'm glad I found my footing at some point and I got into the story and stuff more. Um, okay, really interesting question. I really want to talk about it because need uh I need comments for this one because I need to understand it. Okay. So the question was, it was a Tumblr question, and they said, why was the actress listener made so obviously a white American? Um, and it's a question that really made me kind of pause when I read it because my initial reaction was, they're not. I mean, American, I guess, yes, you can make a case for because they live in the States. I mean, Foster is technically not American. I think she's half American. I think her mom's American, but her father's not. But they live there. I think listeners' parents live in a house near LA, but I don't think I've ever discussed ethnicity or culture or anything like that because I specifically didn't want to do that. I didn't want to pin any characters down. I don't even think I did that with any character at all. The only kind of characters that are kind of, I mean, I guess obvious, not really obvious, but I mean, I'm a white person, so I think the Foster characters are white. But I think that's kind of where it ends, for me at least. Um, but this question fascinated me a lot because the obviously in it makes me think that, obviously, from my white perspective, I may have like said things that were neutral in my head, but for other people definitely made it sound white. So I kind of wanted to see if you guys can let me know. I would genuinely love to be educated on what you guys' opinion on that is. Because I always tried to keep it as neutral as possible. And from my perspective, I think I did. But obviously, I would love to get some other perspectives on that. So if you guys could let me know, that would be very, very cool. Thank you guys. Are you hoping to do more story-based games like The Quarry in the future, or more action games like your Hitman videos? I would do anything. That sounds so desperate. I genuinely don't have a preference. I think the only type of game that I don't like playing are like MMORPGs, things like Fortnite and stuff like that. I really, really don't like that because I don't like interacting with other people. I already interact with plenty of other people when I go outside. I need to do it here too. People are just salty and stuff. I don't care about any of that. I want to kind of do my own thing. So I think I would be interested in doing a lot. I bought the 007 game a couple of days ago, and I think I've played about 2/3 of it, and I really like it. It's from the creators of Hitman. I really like it, but the issue is that because it's so hot outside, my computer keeps crashing because my computer keeps overheating while playing it. So I haven't been able to properly get through it. The weather's going to change in a little bit, so I'm going to try and give it another go. But like something like that, I would love to like play. I saw a lot of people liked the like Balatro Bobble, the Balatro Babbles video that I did, where it's kind of more laid back, and I'm kind of sorry, I had to but you know what? Give me 2 seconds to just readjust. I'm not even gonna cut this out because it's fine. We're just talking. We're just chilling. Yeah, I genuinely don't care. It could be like those laid back kind of yapping kind of videos. Could be more action based. Could be choice based. Could be anything at all. Really, I'm kind of gonna see. I haven't found my niche yet, but I don't think I need a niche. I think I just want to have fun. Let's see. Okay, have you ever thought about creating new characters with a new story, but in your classic style? I've given it thought. I thought maybe that could solve something at some point, where I was like, okay, maybe I just need a fresh start with everything, and maybe I just need to start from scratch. But unfortunately, I think too much has happened for me to kind of be able to forget everything that kind of happened and all the kind of weird feelings that came with it. I can't say no because I don't know the future. But for now, I'm gonna say I have thought about it, but I don't think right now I've came up with something that's interesting enough and sustainable enough for me to kind of give the whole thing a reset. I don't know though. Will you ever post fanfics on AO3 again in the future? No problem if no, but I really loved reading those and they brought me out of my reading block. Stay safe and take care of yourself. Thank you so much. You too, by the way. Yes, I will. I keep saying no. I mean, I don't keep saying no, but I keep like, I would love to. I would love to. I wrote people that were on the Patreon, which I'm going to get back to, by the way. I'm genuinely going to get back to it. But the people that were on the Patreon, they know that I wrote so many fanfics. If I would post all of the fanfics that I wrote on Patreon on AO3, I think that would be at least 50 stories. At least. I wrote multi-chapter ones. I wrote like one-shots. I had like a 30... what was it, like a Wump verse or like a Wumptober kind of thing, where I wrote like 31 Wump prompts or anything. I wrote so much at some point. I wrote daily over 1,000 word chapters for like a lot of time. So yeah, I would love to get back to it. Numb, which is kind of like my one of my babies when it came to the AO3 kind of phase. It's like a Westbound fic where they get superpowers. I need to finish that. So bad. I'm very aware, and I will at some point probably, but I'm trying to just see where I need to kind of dip my toes back into it in order to get back to it. I think that's mainly the thing. Maybe I just need some motivation or something. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, so what made you choose Foster for the channel name, and why did you make it for both speakers? So when I was looking for a username, when I decided that I was going to do this, I have like a couple of like names of like OCs and stuff that I was using, and one of the names was Foster. I was looking up like whether they already existed, and some of the names that I was gonna do already existed in like, you know, name ASMR concept. So I started, and then eventually I got to Foster on the list, and I was like, okay, Foster ASMR, which is originally what the channel was called. And I was like, okay, interesting. But now I need to build on that, because I'm like, why would I name it Foster and then not do anything with that? So then I named the main character Foster. And then when that series was done, I was like, okay, now this channel is called Foster Audio. So if I now do, this is Emily, she's 21, people would be like, where the hell is this coming from? So I just named the other character Foster too. I that made sense to me. And it kind of backfired in the way that I was like, that people now think that my name or my creator name is Foster, which is okay. Yes, you can do that. You can call me Foster if you really like, but yeah, that's people know that I go by E technically. So yeah, that's kind of how that went down. It's not the most interesting story, but okay, opinions. Oh my god. Okay, opinions on Dawson X getting hit by a bus and Taiki and Big Ben being exes. Okay, so I am on Tumblr enough to know that that's an inside joke. I think the Dawson getting hit by a bus thing is because I can't remember which one, but it's either Olympus. No, it's not Olympus. It's by Blood, I think, which was the fic that I was doing the reading for that I didn't end up finishing. But yeah, the whole fic, the whole story itself is on Patreon, and basically the reason why is because it's a love triangle between Taiki's sister and then Taiki's sister and then Foster's two siblings, Mia and Dawson. And Dawson is a very flawed character. The guy is very, in kind of an addiction, push and pull, and has a lot of relapses, and he's struggling, but he wants the best. And I think a lot of people were just really wanted AJ to end up with Mia, and because of that, it's they didn't like Dawson very much. And I think the whole Big Ben Taiki thing is because they were in London when this went down, because I had to find a reason to keep Foster and Taiki out of that story while all of their siblings were kind of doing an orgy together. And I think that I just put them in London so they wouldn't be involved, which is where the Big Ben thing comes from, I'm pretty sure. The funny thing is, because I was so active on Patreon and because I was writing so many fics, and at some point I was just doing there were moments where I introduced a character, introduced a concept, and everyone was like, oh, this is fun. And so you start building upon it. And so you're like, okay, so this makes sense. And then that, okay, so Taiki and AJ, Taiki used to work for her sister's private detective thing, but that completely blew up because she fucked up and she got her sister hurt, and then their mother got involved, and then their mother works in Washington, D.C. because she's a diplomat, or an intelligence asset, rather, and she kind of groomed her oldest daughter, AJ, to kind of be in intelligence, and so that's where she got her training. And it's all these things where you start developing these characters, and then when you look at the YouTube, it's like, oh right, she has two lines and she doesn't really exist, AJ, and then when you go into the Patreon, everyone loves AJ so much because she's such a rich character, and she's a lot of people's favorite character in the Singer series. And in the meantime, in the YouTube, in the audios, she was still a bad guy. So it was kind of really funny to have that dichotomy happening a lot. So it's so funny to have these inside jokes as well of people don't like Foster's brother, and I don't think he was the most sympathetic in the channel videos either, but Dawson's a nice guy. Dawson's a good guy. He just got a bad draw. Or did he? Because I know what happened on the night of their parents' murder. I don't think I've ever talked about it, but I knew from the start what happened. I just have never explained it before. Let me know in the comments if you guys are hearing me yapping and you guys are actively listening to what I'm saying. Let me know in the comments right now. Type in all caps, I want to know what happened to Foster's parents. And if you do, and if enough people do, then I will reveal it. I'll just throw it out there. Oh, one that I absolutely loved. Okay. I keep thinking about how if Foster Drake achieves her dream of becoming a singer, she will fall into the pit of fame just like DeVries and need to go through all the parasocial stuff again. It's a never-ending cycle. Is it a Foster curse? I love that. I love that. I was thinking about it when I read it. I was like, that is such a good observation, actually. And maybe that should be the crossover. Maybe that should be the fic, where it's like Foster Drake does go to like LA to go be like in the studios and record stuff, and Taiki's there and being kind of overprotective, and then she kind of meets DeVries, and they're both kind of like, and DeVries kind of just gives her the thing of like, don't don't do it. If someone invites you to a movie premiere, don't go. That'd be fun. Yeah, I think they would get along. I think they would get along because I'm like, I think Foster Drake has like, she has such a good head on her shoulders in a way because she's so like used to being kind of what do you call that, like um I was gonna say boots to the ground. I don't think that's the right idiom, but it's like, you know, she's so used to having to do her own thing to get by, and never, like, you know, still believing in herself but also being grounded. I think it's more of the word. um and DeVries also kind of had to, you know, work hard for what she got, but she's so much farther in that like thing, and Foster Drake is just starting. She's like, I have fans, people like me, and DeVries is like, fucking no, they don't. That'd be really funny. That'd be really funny. Let me know if I should do that. Okay, a couple more, maybe, and then I could maybe do a part 2 or something. Um, okay, so there were a couple of questions in one chunk that kind of pertain to new listener of the actor series. So, listener that happened after the divorce with old listener. What are the new listeners' thoughts? I'm gonna kind of hope to do them kind of rapid fire. What are the new listeners' thoughts on the last listener? I think new listener has a very like, you know, obviously they're not the best. I don't think they've. I don't even know if they've met, but I think if they have met, I think new listener has a lot of, you know, respect for old listener because she has to, or they have to, I guess, because obviously Foster is still friends with him, or like, you know, I don't even know, you know, the wiki says friends. I don't think friends is a word for that, for what they kind of are, but obviously it's kind of, you know, weird being that new person, and you know, I don't think they're very close. The two listeners, I guess. What's the new listener's relationship with the fandom and how to interact with the fandom? I'm pretty sure that at some point in that like last phase of the story, I said that Inferno was still going on, or like Westbound was still, all of it was still kind of happening, or it was happening again, or something like that. So I'm pretty sure that Foster still has a job and is still doing, you know, still playing the role. So, but I think she's much more like private now. I don't think I don't think she has any more like social media and stuff like that. So I don't think the new listeners relation, like the new listeners relation with the fandom and anything is anything. Cause I don't think, you know, I think it'd be interesting to see like the first, like interviews and like, you know, press after that whole thing. What is the new listener's relationship with Sophia? Sophia's a kind of a complicated character, isn't she? I'd like to think that it's kind of, I'd like to think that it's different from the first listener, because I think first listener had this jealousy of Sophia and kind of this protectiveness over Foster and like stuff like that. But I think it's different because the first listener was together with Foster before she booked Westbound. And so she was kind of the they. See, now I keep saying she now. They, she, I'm going to kind of use them interchangeably. I'm sorry. But they were together with Foster before that whole thing happened. So when they met Sophia, it was like co-workers, and I think she could place it a lot better. I think new listener has the kind of curse of coming into a situation where you have these people that have been in your life for so long. I think that counts for both the old listener and people like Sophia, where they have so much history together and stuff, and you're not a part of that. So you're kind of an outsider on that. But I think that's good because I think that's what Foster wanted and needed. I think she says it at some point of like, I need someone who's not connected to my trauma to love me. Because if all I am is loved by people who know about everything, then all of that is just kind of like a circle reaction, right? And I think that they can coexist. I think Sophia and the other, like the last listener and stuff, they can all coexist in Foster's life if they let them, and if Foster is able to communicate it and then able to keep it all like, do they watch Westbound with the new listener and or talk about it really? I'm pretty sure they do. I don't think they wouldn't. I think Foster has a lot more issues watching herself or the show and stuff, but I think, it's not that she's not proud of it. So I do think they would watch Westbound, and I do think it would still be the same thing of like Foster being like, oh, we shot this then and this happened then, and oh, this was a funny day because this happened. The lightness of it all, I think. I don't think if a baseball bat comes into frame, she's going to be like, oh, remember the time when... I don't think that. But yeah, I don't think it's like as taboo as... But again, that's my opinion. That's my opinion. I don't think it's, that's not the canon of it all. Did Sebastian have any siblings? I don't think so. I don't think he had... I think he had divorced parents. I think his mom was, oh my God, hang on. I need to look this up if there's like if he has like, does he have a wiki thing? Sebastian. I need to check my own wiki because I can't remember. Sebastian Mendes, sometimes called Seb or Kermit, is a 17-year-old actor who was cast in Inferno. Sebastian comes from a small town. His father died when he was young and his mother remarried. Oh, him and Sophia have a lot to talk about. He was in the drama club and on the football team of his local high school when he was cast. I don't think he has any siblings. I don't think I mentioned that, and I don't think it was canon either that he had siblings. I don't think so. What did Foster do with the book of love letters she got for her birthday? She read them, I think. I think the question implies what she did with them after the divorce. And I think after that she kind of got rid of them. I think it's like, what do you do with memorabilia? You can keep them in like the attic and keep them. Maybe she did that. Maybe she threw them out because it was too painful. I don't know. I'd like to think that they're still around somewhere, but I don't think she reads them like, daily anymore. I don't think she did anything daily anymore after the divorce. Any facts about Sebastian you have? He's dead. He's dead. That's my fun fact for Sebastian. I mean, a fun fact. I really liked the whole Muppets thing that they had, like the Fozzie Bear and the Kermit thing. I think that I actually wrote like a thing about Inferno at some point, or what Inferno was going to be, or what the concept was going to be. I really liked that it was like a spin-off of like Alex and Audrey. And he was like, I can't remember his character's name, but he was kind of like a young kind of gang kid that was kind of forced into it, but also kind of played like, softened up on them and kind of, stuff like that. And he was very like little brother energy in Inferno for them. Like he was a very troubled kid, but he was a very like, he grew on them and he kind of got put onto the right path because of them. And I think it was interesting that that was very much a parallel of what actually happened with Sebastian himself. That he was just a very young kid and he was very left to his own devices. And it's a failure of a system. And I wanted to tell that story because I wanted to, it happened. It happened to a lot of young kids. in like Hollywood. And it still happens to this day, where kids get like thrown to the wolves and don't have, especially if they go from nobodies to famous overnight, they have so little framework on how to deal with that. And yeah, it's just a very unfortunate thing, but I'm really glad that it still resonates with a lot of people to this day. I still sometimes see comments or like posts about like, oh, Sebastian. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'm glad that it stuck, because it was supposed to. It was supposed to be a young kid, a 17-year-old kid that had so much potential and that they loved so much and that they wanted to take care of, but who just got roped into something that was so beyond his scope of what he was able to comprehend. And in the end, he just really was like a victim of not being supported into that system. It's profoundly sad. And his favorite color is probably green. Sorry, I needed to segue back into the fun fact. I think my favorite color was green. Let's say that, because that's at least fun and not deeply, deeply, deeply tragic. And okay, for the last one, on a Patreon live stream, you once mentioned a book you were wanting to write or a story I was wanting to develop. Is that something you're still interested in doing? The concept sounded super fascinating, and I'd love to read it if you were to publish it someday. Okay, so in like the final stages of the Patreon, before I went on my hiatus, I was trying to kind of pivot into a something that I liked to work on, something that I was like, this is how I can keep the Patreon kind of moving forward. And I have had this fun idea that I'm not going to talk about here, but it is on the Patreon, I'm pretty sure. And that was an idea of me developing a concept that I've had for a long time, which I know is never going to get made. It was a TV show. And I was like, oh, it could be fun to kind of show you guys how to develop something from zero to complete scripts, or like a book form or whatever it was. I think I pivoted to a book in the end. But yeah, it is still a fun concept. I haven't dropped it entirely. I haven't worked on it since either. I've been busy with like a couple other concepts and stuff. But yeah, I would love to kind of pick it back up and kind of see how it could move and stuff like that. So I'm trying to kind of pivot to getting back into the Patreon, getting back into writing, both on AO3, on the Patreon. The thing that I'm just nervous about is that people obviously signed up for content on the Patreon that they're not getting right now. I don't want to delete the Patreon because it has a lot of work on it, and I don't want to put all of that out on like free, for free, because I did work hard on it. So right now, I kind of consider the Patreon to be kind of like an archive of all the previous work that I did, and so people are more than welcome to kind of check that out. And I hope to get back to it very, very, very soon with a concrete plan that I right now don't have, and I'm very sorry about that, sincerely. I think it's the same like thing that I keep saying here, which is I don't have the answers right now. I'm trying not to pressure myself too much into having answers, because that's only gonna make mistakes. But yeah, I think that was pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you guys so much for still watching. It's crazy to me if I look at like my viewership and stuff, that people are still watching the series. And if you don't have anything to do, rewatch the singer series, rewatch the actress series, comment on it, kind of keep it relevant if you can, because it is something that I'm so proud of, despite everything. And feel free to correct anything that I've said, because I think half of the stuff that I said about my canon is completely wrong. I would be more than happy to. Yeah, and if you guys still have any questions, send them to me on Tumblr and stuff. I can see them. I can answer them on Tumblr. I can answer them in maybe a next Q&A. And until that, stay safe, stay happy, tell someone you love them, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.